Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. If you're looking for jewelry that makes an impact on your self-care routine and your style, Empowerography would love to offer you a discount code to one of our exclusive partners, Quartz and Canary Jewelry and Wellness Company. Please use code EMPOWER15 to receive 15% off upon checkout at www.quartzandcanary.com. Quartz and Canary is truly the place where spirituality meets style. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Karena Akhavein. She is an author, publisher, educator, and podcaster based in Northern California. How are you doing today, Karena?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much for agreeing to be part of this community and share your journey on the podcast with me.
Thanks to you. It's such a great opportunity to kind of have an exchange between podcasters and between people who, like to discuss empowerment issues and all of that great stuff. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. So you've been writing for quite a while. You've authored books, written articles, manuscripts, scripts. What is it about writing that lights you up? What do you love about it?
I really love the universal aspect of storytelling. I mean, every single culture tells stories, and it's a way of fostering passion, understanding, communication, all of that great stuff. Is what keeps, memories alive, what lets people kind of forge these new relations and links. And it's basically like imagination made real. So it's magical for me. It's, you take something out of nothing and you can kind of create this whole world. And I love that.
Yeah.
And the other thing about writing that I've loved is kind of just the relationships that I've made in developing my platform, spalmorum, making these relationships with other storytellers, having the chance to help them to shape their story and then shaping their future. And like so many of my writers have gone on to feel really empowered once their voice was just a little bit more focused and everything else. And they kind of gone on to do these amazing things, not necessarily just writing, but other careers as well. So it's kind of fascinating.
Awesome. How did you get into writing and when did that journey start for you?
Ever since I was a kid. I've been a totally voracious reader. I completely messed up my eyes reading at night.
Yeah.
I always dreamed of being an author, but kind of like that romantic author thing,
Yes.
Like I loved Stephen King. People thought I had a psychological problem because I was reading so much Stephen King. He's an amazing author. But then I read The Slaves of New York, which was kind of, I think it was made into a movie later, but it was by Tama Janowitz. And she kind of showed me that I could write in a more natural voice about more kind of normal everyday experiences. And so when I was about 16, I started writing a book that I never published, but it was about joyriding in cars because that was my world at the time. And then I went on to get my PhD and I wrote, other books and scripts and all this stuff. And it was full of obstacles for me. And then I realized that like a big issue was the mindset. So that's why I started spalmorum to kind of help people with the journey that I'd had. It's kind of a constant, struggle. So now I use, storytelling kind of as a teaching tool as well. And I'm doing fiction and nonfiction. And that surprised me because I thought I just wanted to do fiction.
Yeah.
But I still do want to grow up to be Stephen King.
Awesome. What inspired you to write your first book?
The joyriding book. I thought it was personal. It was universal. It's like, boring, bored kids, teenage kids living in the suburbs. And then I wrote a book about New York because again, I was obsessed, with, and that was kind of adjacent thing. And I had published that and then I took it down because it deserves to be a little bit better. It's kind of this crazy mashup of like American Psycho and Sex and the City.
And
that's
then quite an interesting combination.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It deserves to be better. So I'm working on that. And then my first published book was inspired by my PhD thesis, which I was completely fascinated by, but I wanted to make it into more of a storytelling thing.
Okay. Now, through your own personal struggles as a writer with publishers, you decided to found a company called spalmorum. Can you tell us how the company came to be, the light bulb moment, so to speak, that led to creating the company?
Yeah, totally. That basically, I mean, I, was working on things, and it's hard enough to just motivate yourself, to get the mindset to actually start and complete a book, because it's a really big leap going from aspiring writer to actually successful author.
Right.
And then I got, just like everybody else, I got rejected by agents and publishers. And then I would get a publishing deal, or I'd get an agent representation, and then they'd dump you because of some exterior report that came out that was all about, kind of the book market and the publishing market, and not the reality of your worth. And I just decided that I was not alone, and that, I really needed to fix my mindset, that we can do better for storytellers and writers. So I figured if I could put all of the tools and resources and services that I needed over the years, and all of that support that I didn't get, that was hard to get, and put them all in one place, then I could really help a lot more people, and also let them to see that that dream of being a writer or an author doesn't begin and end with being published by Random House, for example. It's a lot more broad than that. There's so much you can do with storytelling.
Awesome. Can you tell us a bit about the company itself and your mission with the company?
Yeah, totally. So we're basically, spalmorum is a really super supportive platform, and it gives you everything you need to go from aspiring writer to successful author, just including that mindset thing, and also things that'll foster inspiration and motivation. And there's that educational component. You mentioned that I'm an educator. I have I have 3 online courses right now, and there's a coaching component. There's a free writing group that's super inclusive. We have people all over the United States right now via Zoom, which is super fun. I have a YouTube channel, a blog, I have cover design and editing services. But basically my mission is just to empower people to share their story with the world. And so I also, the kind of subtitle of my company is that we're your old-fashioned, super modern publishing company. And we're old-fashioned because of our values to really care about each person, and to really take the writer as, a voice and a person, and to care about that. And also we're super modern because these days storytelling can happen against a bunch of platforms. Like, we're not stuck in just books. So you can have plays, movies, virtual reality, articles, blogs, spoken word, video games, all of that good stuff. So, and eventually I hope to make that publishing and sharing aspect more involved. But for now, we're just opening people to the possibilities.
Yeah, the world of writing, has changed drastically. So
a lot.
I think it's become more accessible for more people as well.
Yeah.
And I guess so. The whole basis behind spalmorum is to help people so that they don't have to go through the struggles that you personally went through when you 100%. Were starting out as a writer, right?
Yes, 100%. Absolutely.
So how did you come up with the name for the company?
So it's a fun name. I wanted to make sure that I had something that when you looked it up, you would just find me, but I wanted it to be historical in a way. So it was strategic, but also I'm a history buff. My PhD is in medieval literature. So I wanted to kind of honor that. And spalmorum is the first printing error ever in history on the Gutenberg press. And it was there was a book of Psalms called spalmorum, and which even is hard to say. So I'm not surprised they misspelled it. And so they misspelled it as spalmorum. So I wanted people to know that they can make mistakes, but they can still be a huge success in the world of publishing and storytelling.
I love that. That's so clever.
Thank you.
Wow, that's very amazing. I love how you chose that, and the reason.
Super nerdy.
No, but it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
I love the message behind it, that you can make mistakes, but still be successful. It's okay to make mistakes.
It is so okay to make mistakes. It's 100% okay to make. I love that. My writing group will do like really fast writing exercises because I want people to get over that perfection problem that they have, where they think they have to just get everything absolutely right.
Yeah.
And they see that you can still have some great nuggets in something that's, kind of terrible, but
amazing. I love it. So you're also the founder and host of Creative Happy Hour Podcast. Can you tell us a bit about what the podcast is all about?
Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a creative happy hour. So we founded it. I started it with a co-host.
Mm-hmm.
I used to hang out with her back when I first lived in Northern California, like 13 years ago. And we would meet up every week and we'd have a creative happy hour. We do a craft, and then we'd have this crazy discussion about all these creative subjects.
And drinks.
And drinks, of course, obviously drinks always. And so then we decided when I came back that, you know, we wanted to do something a little bit more official with our creativity. And I came up with the podcast idea. It was something I'd been wanting to do. And Creative Happy Hour seemed like a logical name. And first of all, happy hour is that transition, right? Between the things you have to do and what you want to do. So you're hanging out with people, you're getting inspired. And we came up with a little tagline of like, you're getting drunk on the creative possibilities.
I love it. That's so clever. And another great one.
Right? Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that like creativity is an important skill for the future. And so many people think they aren't creative because they're not artists, you know? Right. And so I wanted to broaden the definition of what creativity is and how it can help you in your creative, you know, or just daily life. And so now I'm solo on the podcast because my co-host has, you know, she's overwhelmed. She's a single mom. She has a lot of things that she has to deal with, and that's totally fine. Like creativity can change and do different things. So now I'm having fun with different themes and guests, and I hope that you come on as well.
I would love to. I would be honored. Now, is this a space for just creatives?
Well, I think everybody's a creative.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, really, we'll find a theme and we use it as a jumping off point. And of course, we'll have a cocktail that goes, you know, with the theme.
Yes, of course.
And I mean, I've discussed things like iconic hair. This week, it's Memento Mori, which is, you know, the creepy art with skulls and stuff. We've talked about Burning Man. We talk about energy vampires. So all kinds of things. Like, I think for, you know, also we'll talk about mindset. We'll talk about, you know, that whole imposter syndrome, stuff like that creatives really are concerned with.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a great topic to discuss. Yeah, I would be honored. I would love to be part of your podcast.
Oh, thank you. Good. We'll have to organize that.
We shall.
Perfect.
So how long have you been podcasting, and where can people check out your podcast? Where can they find it?
So it's been almost 2 years now. It's been about a year and a half and 2 years. So we're getting to that, you know, that cusp of time where I think we're starting to get that critical mass, which is nice. And you can find Creative Happy Hour podcast anywhere you find your podcast. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or you can just follow me on Instagram at Creative Happy Hour Podcast. I have like 7 Instagram accounts. It's terrible. So I have at spalmorum and I have at Creative Happy Hour Podcast. And then you click on the link in bio and you'll be taken to
well, there you go, folks. Check out Creative Happy Hour Podcast.
Yes.
Wherever you can find podcasts, Spotify, Apple, all of those amazing places. What are some of the challenges you faced early on as a writer, and how did you overcome them? I mean, aside from the publishing issue.
Right. I mean, it was definitely just the mindset and the motivation and trying to get out of the way of my own ego. You know, it's like, it's really scary when you're putting yourself out there. You have to be honest with yourself and you have to find that internal strength. And you have to realize that we're all different and that everybody has their own talent. You know, you can't try to be like anybody else, except, you know, I do think that you should look to other people for mentorship and just for you know, kind of reverse engineering your success. But, and I outline a lot of the challenges that I faced early on in my book. I have a nonfiction book called Writer's Block Is Not Why Writers Fail. And that kind of explains, because I think it's a universal journey that I had. You know, it's really hard. Like when you don't believe you can do something, it's hard to follow through with it.
For sure it is. Absolutely. Mindset is the biggest hurdle, and getting the fuck out of our own way is the biggest problem. Getting outside of our own head and tuning out the external noise is a whole other issue, but I think the biggest issue for people in general, entrepreneurs, whatever the case may be, not just artists, but entrepreneurs, is getting rid of that self-doubt and getting the fuck out of our own way and getting out of our own head and just focusing and believing that you can do whatever you want. You just have to put in the work and set your mind to it.
Yeah, totally. And I like that you said entrepreneur, because I try to remind my writers that they are creative entrepreneurs. And that was actually another huge hurdle that I had, was that I was seeing myself as an artist and not as an entrepreneur. And that's a huge mistake. When you're a writer, you think that you're going to write it and then they will come. And that is not the way it works. You know, really, it's hard to promote yourself.
I have to say that I think that that's a common theme among artists, period, not just authors, but artists. We love the art. We love the act of creating our art, and we'd rather not deal with the business shit. And we just think that all I have to do is create my art and people will come and the business will take care of itself. No, you have to wear multiple hats as an artist.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing that I tell my writers about, just about building your author platform, promoting yourself, and not seeing it as self-promotion. This is the thing. People feel really awkward with self-promotion.
Yes.
Like, it's not self-promotion. It's promoting something that you're doing that might bring value to other people and that might inspire them. So you have to get out of that whole, oh, I'm promoting myself and I'm being so egotistical. Absolutely not.
No.
This is trying to create something for others. And so that makes it a lot less awkward.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into shifting that mindset, and you have to change a lot of patterns of thought. And it's not easy,
I mean, I would almost tell somebody who's going to like maybe be trying to sell a product of their own or a service of their own. So I had a few stints in retail along the way. And honestly, working in retail is not a fun or glorious thing necessarily, but you really learn that selling is not about being a pushy bastard. It's about trying to solve a problem for people.
That's right.
And that really helped me out. So I recommend it. Minimum wage is awesome.
Can you share a situation that's occurred in your life that you feel provides insight as to your character, who you are?
That's a really, really tough one, because I kind of feel like every situation in my life has kind of tested me and shaped me in some way, I guess. So it's hard to just pick one. Maybe, I mean, my family and we moved around a lot. My kids have become really resilient, and it's taught me to be flexible and to value the bonds with unique people, and to kind of have a broader idea of what life is going to look like, and to just keep moving forward regardless of the situation. It's never going to be ideal. So you shouldn't be waiting for that perfect time or place to start something or do something.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's like saying there's a perfect time to have a child. There is no perfect time. You just got to do it. It's the same thing with starting a business. I got to wait. It's not the right time. No, there is never going to be a time where you sit down and say, okay, now is the time that's right to start my business. That's 100%. Not the way it works. You just got to jump in head first or feet first, whatever you want to do, and just go. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
What would you say is one of the biggest pain points that you've been dealing with in your business these days?
Well, I'm sure you're familiar with this one. It's kind of hard to get and keep people's attention. I mean, there are a lot of distractions out there. People are used to consuming things in short bursts, like the blog post, TikTok, Instagram stories, tweets, all that stuff. So I'm trying to foster community and to help people to create impactful content that's more inherently a little bit more long form. But it feels like so many things have gotten so fragmented. So trying to create a movement or a community is a really big concern. And also in terms of advertising, like I rely on social media. I know you do, a lot of us do. And the people, who are focusing on what's real and what's deep aren't necessarily hanging out on social media, or that's not what they're looking for. So like I've gotten a lot of clients from word of mouth or from, connections, but I'd love to find a way to make my message more broadly impactful. And that's still a work in progress, I guess I would say.
Well, just keep at it. You'll figure it
out.
Yeah.
We have to.
You got to just keep pushing forward, keep forging on, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's tough, but I think we all kind of come across it. So I think we all,
for sure,
to realize it's not easy. The ones that we see are the exceptions, right? And so, with hard work, I think we can approximate that. So.
Yeah, but also, I mean, through the fault of social media, everything is portrayed as success and happiness and everything's going great, which is completely false. I mean, sure, there are successes and that's great, but I don't think in entrepreneurship anyways that failure gets talked about enough.
No.
it needs to be discussed more, and it needs to be shown that's also a side of entrepreneurship. You're going to have failures, but it's the fact that you're able to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get right back on the horse and try again.
Yeah. And I think so many huge ideas come out of failure. I think that, all of these entrepreneurs who have that story that they'd lost everything, they're in their garage, and all of a sudden they come up with, Airbnb or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Something huge. So I think that these ideas do stem from failures. I mean, spalmorum definitely stemmed from a failure of mine. And I just wanted to help people, but also telling them like, you guys are going to fail too. And then as long as you learn from your failures, I'm happy for you. So.
That's right. But failures also don't have to be on that epic proportional scale where that you've lost everything. There are smaller failures too. You don't have to lose everything to classify it as a failure.
Mm-hmm. And also there's something to be said about pivoting and not getting too entrenched in a single focused idea. I mean, it's great to focus and to keep pushing forward, but I always say onward and forward and upward. And sometimes you're going to be, readjusting your course a little bit. And I think it's important for people to think that that's not a failure. Because sometimes people are like, oh my God, I changed my idea a little bit. I suck. You're like,
no, you have to change with the times. You have to keep going. You have to roll with things. And like you said, pivot. So
yeah.
What would you say is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received?
Definitely just that old, get out of your own ego. It's not about you, it's about the value. So everybody's got their own story. They've got their own preoccupations. And I used to, if somebody told me no, or if somebody said something mean, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm a terrible loser person. and people don't necessarily care about you or what you're doing. And that's totally fine. The thing was just do something that's valuable. And some of the people who do care about what you're doing will come, and, just not feeling weird about doing your thing, getting rejections is not about you, is perceived value. And, not everybody's got the same value to the same people or the same market. So,
that's right.
And basically, and the same goes for like getting trolled or insulted. Some of the people I know are still like, oh my God. And I don't even care. It's kind of fun. That tells me, I'm like, oh, so you've heard of me,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So just keep on keeping on, and it's not so serious.
Well, what's that saying? Other people's opinions of you is none of your business.
Totally.
Oh, there you go. What makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
I just love it when like one of my writers or somebody in my community, when they write something incredible, or when they take another step on their life's journey that kind of stems directly from them feeling empowered to tell their story. I just feel so great. It's like I literally get goosebumps.
Awesome. What advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
I would tell them, like, make sure that like what your own superpower is. What do you really care about? What can you provide value in? And can you motivate yourself to work on that in the long haul? Because it's a long, long, long road. So really check in with yourself and be honest with yourself, because, it's going to be, and like you said, the most important thing is to start, but you need to be honest with yourself. And if you kind of have this nagging feeling in the back of your mind, and not just being scared, but being more like, ooh, I don't feel like I'm going to sustain my interest in this, probably find something else. It's tough. It's really tough. And
it is a long journey, and you have to stay the course.
Yeah.
But again, entrepreneurship and a career in the arts or whatever is not for everybody. I think you have to be a certain type of person to become an entrepreneur, and you have to stay the course, and you have to be willing to put in the work. And it's because it is a hell of a long road.
Yeah, there's a lot of work. And that's the thing. I mean, for me, I feel like, I'm working all the time, and it doesn't feel, it feels like work, definitely. Like when they say find something you love and you'll never work a day, and you're like, yes, you will. But, but I still, it's something that I look forward to. Every day I look forward to some of these tasks that many people might find mundane, but that's because I'm fired up. Really be honest with yourself, and find what fires you up, and don't be embarrassed of what fires you up. I know some people who are like, oh my God, I'm really into this one thing, and it's mortifying, and it's stupid, and it's superficial. I'm like, no, if that's what you like, go for that.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
People who love that. Yeah.
Again, get out of your own way.
Yes.
What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life, and what was your life like before learning it, and what was your life like after learning it?
Again, just that, yes, you can, that mindset thing. I spent so much time like wishing and aspiring and dreaming and half-assed doing things, or working just on little projects that were dead end. And I just didn't have faith in my ability to make those things go somewhere. And the funny thing is that I spent a lot of time volunteering, and I was doing a lot of things for my kids' school and for the community and this and that. And one day I turned around, because I had this thing about money too. I kind of felt like, as an artist,
money blocks. Yep.
Yeah. Money blocks, like money's not the goal and this and that. And one day I turned around and I saw that as a fundraiser, as a volunteer, I'd raised a ton of money, like millions of dollars. And I was like, what? I'm like, okay, it's time for me. So now I just think, okay, I can do this. I have done this, sometimes just not for myself. But each little thing that I do achieve, I go, see, that's proof I can do it. And then I just break down each goal into steps, and I just do them, I just one after the other.
Oh, so you just put your head down and keep going.
Yeah. Keep on going.
To date, what would you say is your biggest high or your greatest win?
Well, 2020 has been crazy. It's been
Yeah.
tough and it's been amazing. It's been like 2020 has been weird because it's been the culmination of so many of my projects that I had been kind of simmering away. So people are like, "Oh my God, you got so much done this year." I'm like, "Well, no, not necessarily. I actually just, had been working and these projects just happened to finally come out." So in 2020, I've published 2 books. One
Awesome.
fiction,
Congratulations.
thank you. So one fiction, one nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
The fiction is written in stone, which is very fun, escapist, kind of Dan Brownish, but I'll say smarter, with a female protagonist.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the one I mentioned before, The Writer's Block, is not why writers fail. I've come out with 3 online courses. I've hosted.
Wow.
Yeah.
2020 has been good for you.
I know. I've hosted like 40 podcast episodes, and my writing
Awesome.
group has grown thanks to Zoom, really, which I was at first kicking and screaming, but it's been really wonderful.
Good. How would you describe yourself in one word?
I'll have 2 words for you if that's
Sure.
okay. You can mash them together if you want. High energy.
Okay.
I think that's probably the most significant thing. Very high energy, and I try to maintain and protect my energy. It's important.
Awesome. What makes you smile?
I just like to see like unique expressions of creativity, like new things that I wouldn't have thought of, or like my kids are pretty creative, both of them, and they produce really interesting things. And just basically like anything that kind of is so good that it gives me goosebumps, like sometimes I'll be driving in the car and I'll be hearing an interview or a podcast, and like somebody says something that I'm like, oh yeah. And that'll definitely, definitely make me smile.
How would you like to be remembered?
Definitely as someone positive, as someone who empowered people to be creative, somebody who actually did what they said they would do and kind of was true to their, word and to their mission.
Speaking of empowered, what does that word mean to you?
I think it's just feeling the ability to just do whatever it is that's important to you, to have, to not feel held back and to not kind of fall into these, victim mentalities, and to kind of come from a place where you just realize that there's really space for everyone's success, and that, you can do it.
So what does the word success mean to you?
Success to me, and that's really interesting because I talk a lot about being a successful author.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sometimes I've had some pushback from people, and they're like, well, success doesn't mean the same thing for all people. I'm like, exactly. So yeah, no, to me, success is actually doing that thing that makes you happy, and doing that thing you set out to do, and whatever it is. Like for me, if I touch one person who feels empowered, or who feels inspired, or who feels like they can do something, I'm like, that's success for me. Completely, 100%. And you can keep going from success to success. You don't have to have that one ultimate success, which is not to say that I wouldn't, love to have, bigger and bigger success, because that'd be awesome. But
so many people equate money with success.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. For me, it's not about the money. It's having an impact on people and making a change. That's what success is to me.
Totally. But I would know how to spell it out. Like I can spend money like nobody's business. I would love to have.
Well, sure. The money is great. The money, absolutely. But it's not the be all and end all.
No. I would love to have the problem of having too much money. And I often think,
Sure.
and I think a lot like, okay, if I had, money, and, what would I do with it? And you know what I do? I would support artists and artisans that I love. So I'd probably be an art hoarder, probably would be my thing that I would do.
Money for good. Money for good. So speaking of money, if you had a choice, money or fame, well, I know the answer, but
money all the way. Are you kidding me? No, I would not. Being fame, I think, is overrated big time.
Yeah.
And that's an extra pressure that we don't need. Sometimes I feel like you need some level of fame in a certain aspect of your life to kind of have the impact on people. So, you need a little bit of that, or a little notoriety or something like that. But I would love to have money to be able to pour more money. Like if I had more money, I would pour things into programs to support writers and support authors, and I'd be able to really build something bigger. And I'd probably, try to have a network where I could, produce things that my writers did directly. It'd be great.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Sadly, both.
That's a tough one.
I know. I don't sleep much. I'm a little bit, I have a problem. I have a big problem. A little bit of an insomniac, always have been my whole life, which is really weird. So I kind of have learned to deal. So mornings I'll try to do like a workout to get myself started. This morning I did some yoga before this interview, and then I'll also get like the boring stuff, like the pedestrian stuff or the administrative stuff out of the way, because I know myself, I'm not going to want to do it later. And then just being both a night owl and an early bird, like lets me take breaks during the day for getting outside, which is really important to me.
For sure.
And also socializing or like clearing my head or, whatever. And then late at night when everyone's asleep, I get to do a lot of my research and a lot of my reading, which sometimes that's the same thing as research, but it's, And also sometimes I'll do editing in bed, which is weird. Yeah.
What's the first thing you notice about a person?
Definitely their energy, whether they're confident, how they're unique. I really like, positive people. So if I feel this positive energy, I love that. And, people tell me my friends are super varied and that I have this really interesting circle of people who are super unique and maybe weird. But we're all weird. So I don't judge on,
Weird is subjective though, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't judge on, style or age or gender, occupation, background, whatever. I don't care. But I do love energy. So if somebody's kind of a downer, I think I probably try to avoid. But as soon as somebody's positive and happy and fired up, I love that.
You want to be around that. It's inspirational.
Yeah.
If you could step into my shoes, what would you have asked yourself today that I didn't ask you?
Your questions are really good. You had a ton of excellent questions. It's hard to think of something that you would have missed because it is very complete. But I think maybe for women like me, just like how the juggling motherhood and family life with, creative work, or because when you're juggling motherhood with, kind of a day-to-day job where you go to the office and this and that, there's kind of that immediate value that people see and your family understands, like mommy's going to the office, and there's kind of that on and off switch sometimes. Yeah. And there's kind of this consistent monetary return. And when you're a creative and your creative work's really important to you, but it's hard to justify and it's hard to say, oh no, kids, I can't do this and that because I'm working on, my book, or I'm working on a painter, or something that's going to take forever to actually come to fruition. And that's been really hard with me. And I've tried to do better. And thank goodness my kids are older now, but that's what I wish. Like, I feel like that held me back to feel guilty about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Number one, of course, stay out of your own way. But number two, probably the value of mentorship, because I feel like when I was younger, I had such an ego. I thought that coming to a mentor would be kind of a sign of weakness or of not knowing things. Like when you're a teenager or a young person, you think you know everything. So you're like, why would I go to a mentor?
Yes.
I know it all. And my daughter, who's 20 now, she has a mentor, and it's incredible to see the things that she's learned and the confidence that she's taken on and everything. So, for me, I had to eventually find like virtual mentors and then other mentors later on, and then kind of reverse engineer my success looking at their journeys. And also I've kind of tried to create these co-mentorships with peers whose strengths are kind of different or complementary. And we'll literally have a meeting where we're like, okay, this is our co-mentorship meeting, and we'll kind of lift each other up. So I think mentorship is major. If you can find, peers, people who are just a little bit ahead of you. And also people think mentor is way ahead of you and that they're such experts on everything. But I think that having that mentor that's just 10% further down the road, that can really help as well.
For sure, because you learn from their experiences. It's what do they say? Surround yourself with people that are further along in their careers or better than you at what you're doing in your current state or where you currently are.
Totally. Even if that's just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be intimidating. You don't have to go to, I don't have to go to Stephen King. I would love to, but I don't have to go to Stephen King. Yeah. I can go to the person who, just published their, second fiction book and be like, okay, so what was it like, kind of juggling everything and, whatever. So there's always things that you can get out of people who are just a little bit ahead.
There's always room for improvement. So, and you can always learn. Life is a constant learning process.
Oh, yes. And that's what I love about writing, because writing is uniquely that one thing where you're always, always learning. I mean, everything is, but with writing, there's a lot of research that goes into it, and there's exploring these new worlds. And I just love that part, the learning part.
For sure. Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like?
Panic. I don't know. No pressure. Thanks. Yeah. I'd probably be talking really, really fast because I probably have a lot to say. It might be a little disjointed, and, you'd want to make those seconds count. So definitely it would be something about sharing your story with the world, because, storytelling is my major, major love in life. Making sure that we enjoy each other's stories as well, staying open and curious, learning, as you said. And also just that reminder that if it's important to you, you can do it.
Awesome. I love it. Karena, thank you so much for being here today and sharing a bit about your story and your journey on the podcast here with the community.
Thank you so much for having
inspiring.
me.
It's been a great chat, and just keep doing what you're doing. I love that you're trying to give back and help out your community of writers and do something to help them get past the struggles that you went through. It's an incredible thing you're doing, and I just appreciate you and appreciate you being here and sharing a bit about your story and your journey with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to having you on my podcast.
I can't wait. I'm excited. That'll be great. We'll have to talk off air. We'll take this offline and discuss that.
Awesome.
Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, the host of your Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest has been Karena Akhavein. She is an author, publisher, educator, and podcaster based in Northern California. Thanks so much. I hope you have an amazing day, Karena.
Thank you so much. You too.
Talk
Bye,
soon.
everyone.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.